Alright guys, welcome. This is lecture number 2. We'll be talking about the elements of music. Remember, you won't always see a full video lecture. However, in these first few lectures, I've been doing them all here online. Remember, it might be a reading assignment I might give you. You might have some other work to do, so just don't always expect to have to watch 30 minutes of this lecture. And also remember, I'm not only putting this lecture PowerPoint online where you can get to it, I'm also putting links to the YouTube links in order so that maybe you want to go back and check that out for your studies later for different sound examples. So here we go, elements of music. Today we'll be talking about the elements of music. Now, this course is called Introduction to Music, but it used to be called Survey of Music, so it is in general a history course. So there will be some listening examples on some tests. There will also be historical knowledge you'll want to know. But this lecture in particular is going to help you talk about music or write music and have some understanding, some vocabulary that we talk about, you'll see in the book. And you can also look at all this information in the first 7 chapters of the Enjoyment of Music text online. So you will be talking today about these 6 elements: melody, harmony, rhythm, form, dynamics, and timbre. Now, if any of these look familiar to you, that's a good thing, but we're going to go through and give definitions to them so that we can all understand and be on the same page. Melody is easily thought of as the thing that you sing. You know, when you're singing a melody. So the part of a song that you most likely remember when you're listening to the radio or listening to any song on your iPod or your earbuds, the part that you're humming along to, the actual vocal line, or it could be an instrumental line, the thing that we're focusing on, that is the melody. Specifically, if you want to see a good definition, melody is a succession of tones logically conceived to make musical sense. So music will be organized in order to make sense, to form musical sentences, and we call those phrases. So melody is thought of as horizontal and linear, and we speak of it as a melodic line. Oh, do you like that beautiful melodic line as the singer sings that beautiful phrase, right? You can hear things like that. You can also have things like a motive, a short melodic phrase that sounds fragmented or incomplete and used in variations and developed. So we listened to Beethoven's Fifth the other day, where it starts off with these 4 notes. And this would be a motive. So it's a short little melody, and it's built upon over and over again. You can also have lyrical melodies that are longer than motives and song-like in character. But melodies, for the most part, are built on ascending, going up, and descending, going down patterns of tones called a scale. Melodies can be built on a scale. In this case, I'm going to draw up a major scale, and that'll be the basis of everything we talk about, because not only is there melody, there's also going to be harmony. So here's what a normal major scale is going to look like in the key of C. So you have 7 notes: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then C repeats at the top. If you're not familiar with reading notes, don't worry, it's not so important. But if you want a crash course on this, of course you can review this in your text. But if we're looking in treble clef as an example, it's every good boy does fine. And then in the spaces, it's face. Not so important because we're really actually talking about music history here a lot of times, but this will just help you go forward. And the major scale that I just wrote up there on the board actually sounds like this. That's a C major scale. And using that scale, the C major scale in this case, I could start making melodies, you know, going up or down, jumping around in that key. So I could do something simple like this. Little Frere Jacques using the scale notes of C major. Remember, to make harmony, you just need 2 notes sounding at the same time. But if the most common combination is going to be a triad or a chord. So once you have 3 pitches at the same time, it's a chord, or most commonly a triad. And in the key of C major, you can stack triads on top of each other, and that's how you kind of get this harmony. And in the Western art music, the music that we're studying coming from Europe in the classical tradition, it's based on harmony, whether it's major or minor. So you would stack triads like this. And each different chord is going to have its own unique quality, whether it's going to be happy sounding major or sad sounding minor. It's the easiest way to say that. You can have a major 1, a minor 2, a minor 3rd chord, major 4th, a major 5, minor 6, diminished 7, and back repeating to 1. When it comes to harmony, we also think about texture. So when we listen to the chant music in our first lecture, where we just had one single unaccompanied melodic line, that's what we call monophonic music. One single line. Mono, one, phone, sound. So one sound altogether. If music is polyphonic, which you heard in the Dufay example, the second example in the first lecture, a combination of 2 or more simultaneous melodies, and that is polyphonic. Poly, many sounds at the same time. If it's homophonic music, it's a melodic line accompanied by chordal harmony. So if you think of any pop song nowadays where you have a guitar or a piano playing and a single melodic line, that would be homophonic music, probably the music you're most familiar with hearing. The next element of music is rhythm. Tempo is the rate of speed a piece of music is performed, which could go fast or slow. Within music, we have notes that designate sound, and rests, which denote where sound isn't, the silent part. So we have rests and we have notes, and each one tells you how long you're supposed to hold or rest for. Do a few examples of reading rhythms and clapping along together, but before we get going, let's talk about some more things that are important in rhythm. So there's a metronome. You've seen the metronome, maybe the old school one that goes click, 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 or now most of the time they're digital on people's phones. But that allowed composers in the 19th century to say, this is exactly how fast or slow I wanted it to play. Do I want you to play 60 beats per minute, or do I want you to play 154? It allowed composers to get the exact sound they were looking for. Rhythm also can be defined as the pulse, like a heartbeat. That's the pulse of the music. So when you're listening to music, you're like, oh, there's the tempo, there's the pulse. And Western music, the music we're talking about, could be metered, where it's all in 1, 2, 3, 4, or we could have no meter at all, where there's no time. It just goes endless in its music. And common meters, you could have music that's in 1, 2, 1, 2, or you could have music in 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, or 6, or 7. So you can go all the way from the easiest duple meter or common meter of 2 or 4, or you can be in something complex like 3, 5, 7, something really interesting to count. And composers can use irregular meters and switch them up during the piece. Many times I'm conducting wind symphony music and it'll be 5 and then we'll go into 3 right after. So it can switch, it doesn't have to be constant, but in normal pop music on the radio, most of the time you'll hear everything in 4 counts. And accents can stress beats, but when we go into an example right now, we'll see all the fun that rhythm reading can be. Let's take this short little example. If you look back one page and look at the rhythm page, you'll see that there's a whole note which counts for 4 beats, especially if you're in 4/4 time, meaning 4 beats in a measure. If you see a half note like this, that means that you'll hold the note for 2 beats and a quarter note for 1 each. So if we count it all out together, it'll sound like this. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? Simple. 4/4 time, and here's our rhythm. Do it with me one more time. I know you just watched me. Here we go. Try it. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4/4 time. We can also change these rhythms. If you look there, there's 8th notes, there's 16th notes, and they work like this. So let's take this and switch this to 2/4, and I'll change some of the rhythms. Right now I've changed this example to 2/4 times. So there's 2 beats a measure, but we still have half notes, 8th notes, and quarter notes. So it goes like this. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 1, and 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right? Seems tricky, but shouldn't be too hard. Let's try one more time in 2/4. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 1, and 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So this is common time, 2/4/4/4. We're really used to doing that if you're a pop music fan, and that means anything, pop music, rap, rock, country, it's all under that same umbrella where you're typically in 2 or 4/4 time. Let's check out something in 3/4. All right, now we have 3 measures in the bar. Remember, for the most part, you won't be assigned to read anything and find out what it is, but you might want to go, when you go to concerts, you may be counting along when you hear an ensemble play, oh, what meter is this in? Oh, that seems pretty complex. 3 beats in a measure, here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. See that? Pretty tricky when it's in 3/4. As simple as it is, it's kind of awkward considering we're not used to doing things in 3. In the old days, we'd be dancing waltzes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. All right, this is a crash course at rhythm. There are 2 examples of rhythm with rests in there. So it can be as easy as something like this in 4/4 where we just have single quarter note rest and a half rest, or we can go where it's complex and we can have 8th rests. So listen, a simple rhythm would be like this at the top. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, rest, 3, rest, 1, 2, rest, rest. Or it can be as difficult as something like this in 3/4, where we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and. See how tricky that was? I'm going to do that one really quick. So it's 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, and. Now it's so difficult when you're reading rhythms, but if you were just singing them in your normal life, it's not hard. But when you want to pass something to the next person instead of oral tradition, you got to write it down, and it makes it a little more complex. Form is the next element we'll look at. Form in music is the organization of musical elements in time. In a musical composition, pitch, tone color, dynamics, rhythm, melody, and texture interact to produce a sense of shape and structure. When it comes to musical form, you can have music that repeats. In music, the repetition of melodies extends sections is a technique widely used binding a composition together. Through repetition, a melody is engraved in our memory. So yeah, you can have something just repeat over and over again. Think about some of those early pop songs, rock and roll songs that did the same melody over and over again. This music can have contrast. It can forward motion, conflict, change of mood. Opposition from loud to soft, can switch instruments from strings and woodwinds to fast and slow. A composer can emphasize the power and excitement of one musical idea by contrasting it with another idea that is calm and typical. There can also be variations. In a variation of a musical idea, some of its features will retain while others are changed. The melody can be restated with a different accompaniment of pitches, and the melody may stay the same, but the rhythms may change. But here's the most important thing when we're talking about forms. There's two basic forms, and they can get more complicated the farther down we go. But most importantly, there is a two-part or binary form. That's where a composition is divided into two large sections, an A and B. Two-part form gives the sense of statement and a counterstatement. There's also something we call ternary form or three-part form, where you can have an A section, a B section, and then an A section again. And this is probably the most frequently used form. This can best be represented as a statement, a contrast, or departure, and then coming back and returning to the original theme. Now, it can get really complicated. Within A, there can be multiple sections. Within B, there can be multiple sections. So look forward to that as we go farther into music history. But here in the beginning of time, or at least recorded sound, you won't have too much complex stuff yet. It's a development over time.
A phrase is a short musical idea, like this. A phrase is often described as like a sentence. If we take a few of these phrases and put them together, we get a section like this. Because a section is a few phrases or sentences put together, it's often described as a paragraph. But a song will have more than one section, like this. The words form and structure are used to describe the order of these sections. There are different types of form and structure. You need to know binary form and ternary form. Binary form is a piece of music with two sections. That's A and B. A. B. Ternary form is a piece of music with three sections, but the first section comes back or turns around. That's A, B, then A again. A. B. A again. In both forms, you can repeat sections. For example, AABB is still binary, and AABAA is still ternary.
Dynamics, how loud or soft something is. Most of musical history, the volume of a piece being performed had to do with three variables: how many people are performing, what kinds of voices or instruments are performing, and, of course, the acoustics of the space you're in. Composers began to indicate how loud or soft their music should be during the 17th century. So about the 1600s, after about 1,000 years of music, they decided, oh wait, maybe we should tell people how loud or soft something can be. So the softest something should be in music, we call that piano, all right? And the loudest, we would say, is forte. Now in between there's mezzo piano, moderately soft, and there's mezzo forte, moderately loud. Now it can go farther in both directions. It could be fortissimo, or it can be pianissimo, very soft. But all you'll need to know is piano, soft, forte, loud. Dynamics don't stay constant. You can become louder, and we call that a crescendo. So if I'm talking like this and I'm getting louder, that's a crescendo. Now, if I'm talking like this and I'm getting softer, that is a decrescendo. The best example of a crescendo over a long period of time is Maurice Ravel's 1928 piece, Bolero. Now, if you listen to this whole thing through, I'm not going to post it on this video because it's an 18-minute piece, but you can go to the YouTube playlist and listen to it all the way through. You'll notice it starts off with a snare drum really slow, and it keeps building, passing solos to each performer, and then by the end, the entire orchestra is playing as loud as possible. So if we were going to show you the sound wave, you'd see it go from very tiny to finally getting bigger and bigger at the end. The final element of music we're going to talk about today is timbre. Don't be fooled by its name. It's not timbre or timbre. Timbre is the quality of sound characteristic of a particular voice, instrument, or ensemble. The easiest way to think of this is each voice, each instrument, and ensemble has its own distinctive timbre. My voice has a certain timbre, your voice has a different timbre, and so does everybody else. Timbre is determined by the voice or instrument used to produce it, the manner of attack and release, how that sound is actually produced. Like a piano, when you strike it, there's a hammer hitting a string, versus someone bowing a violin, or someone blowing on a reed instrument, like a double reed instrument like an oboe, versus the sound of a saxophone. Other sounds which may combine with pitch and range, how high on your instrument you're going. The timbre is different at the high end of a trumpet than it is on the low end of a trumpet. And on the next page, you can look at all the timbres of Western music. If we look at the vocal range, you have women singing the high range soprano, mezzo soprano, the medium range, and alto, contralto, low range. Men, we have high range tenors, and we have low range bass. The string section, violins, violas, cellos, double bass as they go lower. And the woodwinds, flutes, oboes, English horn, clarinet, bassoon, saxophone. Our brass, trumpet, horn, trombone, tuba. And our percussion can be pitched, timpanis, chimes, xylophones, marimbas, or it can be unpitched, like a tambourine, a drum set, or triangles. So that is timbre. So today, we talked about the elements of music: melody, harmony, rhythm, form, dynamics, and timbre. Things you almost take for granted, right? We're used to hearing melodies. We know what harmony, I guess, is, without even thinking about it. Rhythm, we get that, or we say, I don't have rhythm. Or in form, how a piece of music is put together. Was there a verse or is there a chorus? Is it just the same melody over and over again? Dynamics, how loud or soft something can be. And timbre, what does that individual instrument or voice sound like? So a lot going on here, but remember, don't just check out these videos. Make sure to do your reading assignments and your 3 points of interest due next week. Have a good day, and looking forward to the next module.